A devoted wife, played by Diane Lane, with a workaholic, inattentive film producer husband, played by Alec Baldwin, takes an unexpected journey from Cannes to France with a charming Frenchman, played by Arnaud Viard, and reawakens her sense of self and joie de vivre. That's the romantic comedy Paris Can Wait in a nutshell. And joining us now on its behalf, its writer, director, and producer, Eleanor Coppola, best known for her 1991 documentary film Hearts of Darkness, A Filmmaker's Apocalypse, and author of the books Notes on the Making of Apocalypse Now and Notes on a Life, now filmmaker, director of narrative features, and she joins us now on behalf of Paris Can Wait. Hello, Eleanor Coppola. Thank you for being here. So what Coppola now doesn't make films? So many of them do now. It's hard to keep them all straight, but you were the last kind of holdout in a way, I guess.
Well, I'm not authentic Coppola, I don't have any Coppola genes, so I feel like I'm...
Well, by marriage, by law.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
You are. And now you're sort of in the ranks. I read, or you may have said in an interview that once you decided you were going to make this movie, you'd done documentaries, of course, but this is a narrative feature which you wrote, directed, and produced. You said you took classes and you screened road movies and you sought financiers, of course, but why, after having made nearly a dozen documentaries yourself, did you feel you needed to take classes?
Because making a fiction feature is the flip side. It's the opposite of making a documentary. In a documentary, you're completely an observer. Your gift is to be able to just be alert and find the interesting moment and have your camera in focus and turned on.
Yeah.
You're not creating anything. You're just editing from reality.
Literally documenting
reality.
Yeah.
And for a fiction feature, it's the reverse completely, the opposite. You create everything. Do you want to have the flowers on the table or not? Do you want to have stand up, sit down?
Right, every decision you have to make.
Every decision. Should you have a red dress or a blue dress? You have to make every choice, and it's and also I didn't know about directing. I felt I needed to take a directing class just to understand what the director does, because I was never the director, I was the observer.
Yeah.
And I took an acting class to understand what it is to be an actor and what they go through. And
you actually took an acting class yourself?
I did.
Oh my gosh, how did that go?
It was terrifying.
Yeah, of course, they always are, aren't they? Oh my God, acting was like the worst thing I think I had ever taken in terms of what you just said. Yeah. It is terrifying.
Yeah, and it really makes you understand what they go through, what the actors go through.
Well, this is a road. But you said you screened road movies too. What were the standouts that you do you remember?
Well, there's always like two for the road, or that's kind of
course, yeah.
But I maybe I exaggerated that comment wherever it came from, because I was really more focused on the fictional aspects and kind of collaging them together. Yeah. People would give me ideas. Somebody said, "Oh, well, the car should break down," and that seemed like a good idea. And and someone else told me the name of a chocolate dessert. I was just gathering material from wherever it came from and creating this fiction.
But the general idea was kind of based on something you went through, though, right? You experienced yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay. I did go to Cannes with my husband, and at the end of it, I had this terrible cold, and we were at the airport, and I decided at the last minute that I shouldn't fly with my cold, and the gentleman who had taken us to the airport was a business associate of Francis's, and I knew him, slightly. So he said, "I'm driving back now. Why don't you just get in the car and come with me?" And I said, "Oh, I can take the train, And no, come with me. So I went with him, and it was like, it's supposed to be a 7-hour drive. And I expected to be there by dinner time. Mm-hmm. And then it took 48 hours to get to Paris, because he kept stopping in all these interesting places and doing a lot
of eating and drinking, like in the movie?
Yes. Yeah. So when I thought about it, it seemed like a fun idea for a film. And then once I decided I was going to write it, then I felt this wonderful freedom of incorporating every
Sure.
idea that came along, and incorporating many stops that I didn't go to the Pont de Gare with my driver. I didn't go to the
Sure.
Basilica. I could just make it up, and that was the fun part too.
Well, replacing the fan. There's a scene in the movie where the Diane Lane character, she replaces the fan belt with a lady's silk stocking. Is that? I mean, was that something? Would that actually work?
Yes.
Really? And
Yes.
did you test it, or did you actually experience it? I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, good. Now, someone told me about that, and I was doubtful, but it's on YouTube.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't know if it's on YouTube. I know you wrote in your memoir, Notes on a Life, about the conflicting demands of family and love and art, and it made me think again. I think about this a lot, actually, but the movie made me think about this again, about the artist, who and what we think of as the artist. He or she's usually the individual who creates something for others to experience, like a painting or a film or whatever it is, a sculpture. And when we think of an artist, that's who we think of. We think of an artist in those terms, a person who makes something and then puts it out into the world. But I've always believed that, just from what I've experienced, what I've observed around me, watching the women in my life and the women around me, but mostly women who are in the role of mother and housewife, the caretaker, the homemaker, a lot of what you wrote about, in the same exact ways, are the ultimate artists themselves, because of what those roles require them to do on a daily basis. I'm sure you can talk about this more than and articulate it better than I can. Like doing housework, having done it, it is an art. Tending to the home is an art. Raising children, bearing the children, the ultimate art. The list can fill several hundred tomes. Well, and you coined it. You said you developed your own creative ethos called the art of every day. I love that.
Well,
and how
thanks.
did any of that infuse the making of this and the creation of this? And were you able to like harken back to that at all, or rely on that, or think about that? Because it's funny. I know it must have been, being in a family of creative people, Oscar-winning people. I know you wrote about this, where you struggled with your own self-expression, and that you did find it in the everyday life. But I'm curious if you incorporated any of that into the movie in any ways that might be conscious or.
Well, that's an interesting point. Yes, I think I'm wanting the Diane Lane character to experience being present and enjoying every moment, because I think that's what the Frenchman is teaching her, that here we are, why don't we have lunch?
The car breaks down, so what? We'll go and do something fun. Have a picnic.
Have a picnic,
Right.
That he's constantly saying, live in the moment, live in the beauty that surrounds us. Be it's that old thing, be here now. And that's sort of foreign to her.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that we can never hear too many times, be reminded of, that this is.
Yeah, really, yeah. No matter how many times we're reminded of it, we seem to always forget it.
Yeah, it's easy to forget.
Right. When something's happening, we don't. That doesn't go according to plan.
Yes.
Because the movie's it's really about the journey, isn't it, in a way? Because none of it really goes as planned.
Right.
But all these exciting things happen along the way. Mm-hmm. So.
And to be open and receptive to.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was going to be this, but look at this. This is just making a pleasure out of every, or curiosity or interest in all the twists and turns.
Yeah. We're talking to Eleanor Coppola, and she's the writer, director, and producer of Paris Can Wait. The women directors, how horrifying are the actual stats regarding women who make films, who direct films? I know it's gone up, but it's still probably single digit, isn't it?
It's pretty grim. In France, I read that 13% of their directors are women. 13.
Oh, that's a little higher than here, but even that's pathetic.
It's pathetic.
Yeah.
And we're below that. We're 7% climbing to 8-ish.
Oh, jeez. Well, when you were making the movie, Did you get any resistance at all from any of the people around you, maybe before you were making it or when you were making it, or were you sufficiently, I don't know, I want to say helped or insulated within the Coppola clan, which is to say, even without the things women have to deal with in a field dominated by men, the making of a film is just brutal, and it's immersive. Isn't it immersive? I mean, it's like when you're doing it, there's nothing else exists. So did you get any resistance from friends or colleagues, or did you get a lot of encouragement?
I wouldn't say I got a lot of encouragement. I'm a first-time director. I had to go in as a first-time director, trying to do an original script that has no aliens, no explosions, no guns, no knives, no superheroes,
Right.
nothing that anybody wants to invest in. And I had to, endure the fact that nobody wanted to invest in it. And it took a long time it took 6 years to cobble together.
Getting financing must be like soul killing. I mean, it has to be, Well,
it's a nightmare because you're in this catch-22. You can't get the financing until you have the cast committed. You can't get a cast to commit unless you have the financing that can tell them it's going to start on June 1st, because they can't commit until they know that there's a green light, go.
Right.
And so you're constantly caught in this vice of conflicting forces that
It's a wonder anything ever gets made.
It's totally a wonder that anything gets made. It's a miracle.
I want to bring this up because I think it's important to mention this, and I mean this with with respect. And I was telling Karen outside that I worked on a film set. It was a professional film set once. I was the script supervisor, and I was in my 30s. But it was brutal, and it was exhausting, and it was so tiring that after the third day I wanted to quit. You seemed so nice and quiet. How did you maintain your energy on this shoot is what I want to know.
Well, it is so intense.
Yeah.
I had a fabulous crew who really supported me.
That's
I think
great.
that I wasn't having a lot of conflicts and struggle with my crew. They were just trying to help me in every way. And the difference for me is, like, in the evening I would come back and eat a yogurt in my room and some fruit and go to bed, and they would be out in the bars partying.
Oh, partying, yeah. I know, isn't that's funny too. I found that too. It's like people would go out partying. I go, are you kidding me? I'm gonna get the 2 hours of sleep I can get.
Yeah.
And they go out and party. Yeah. Okay. Well, that explains it.
Yeah, and I think there was kind of, 40 years difference in our ages had something to do with it.
Had something to do with it. Well, at least you didn't go back and have like ice cream or binge on, something like that, or cake or something. You had yogurt and fruit, which is good. Lots of ladies involved in the making of this picture too. The DP, Crystal Fournier, production designer Anne Seibel, costume designer Melina Canoniero. That blew me away when I saw her name on the credits. She's like a goddess in the fashion industry.
Well, she's a 5-time Academy Award winner. She is just extraordinary. I've known her because she did 2 of Francis's films, and I felt so incredibly lucky that she was available and we're friends, and so that she had time to do this small project, but she was great. And I think it's really important what Diana's wearing, her elegance and classicness, the way she was dressed, I think, is really a stroke of her brilliance.
Yeah. And then Laura Cartman, of course, composed the score. So lots of gal power on this movie. And Diane Lane, of course, is the star. And we're being given the hook here. But so I just wanted to you said that you wanted Paris Can Wait to be entertaining and thought-provoking. And you said, I'm going to leave it with this, but I still want to get what you have to say. You said, and I love this, you said, I hope the audience will enjoy the character's trip and take more notice of the small joys of life, such as a really good tomato. So that's in summation. Do you have anything else you'd like to add about? I don't know. Why do you think people should come out and see this movie?
Well, I think that sort of sums it up.
There you go. Yeah, quoting your own words here. Okay, all right. Eleanor Coppola has been our guest. The film is Paris Can Wait. Thanks so much, Eleanor, for being with us. It was really nice talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.